My Lord, my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask you for pardon of my sins and grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. The kingdom of heaven may be compared, you Jesus teaches today, to a man who sowed good seed in his field. He did a good job. He sowed good seed and it did produce a crop. It looks like everything went according to plan. His part of the job was perfectly done. But you remember what happened during the night. We read that while everybody was asleep, his enemy came, sowed darnel all among the wheat, and made off. So, two things happened. First, everyone fell asleep. Second, taking advantage of it, the enemy came and sowed darnel all among the wheat. So when the wheat sprouted, the darnel appeared as well. Now, in a way, you can't reproach them for falling asleep during the night. After a long day's work, they were exhausted and had a right to fall asleep. And apart from that, what is the enemy about? I mean, we're not talking about a kingdom or a battle. We're talking about a field. So who's this enemy? Why is he trying to ruin the farmer's harvest? I'm always surprised at this parable. Why doesn't the enemy leave the farmer alone and mind his own business? Well, I can only see one reason: jealousy. But of course, Jesus, we know what you were talking about. In this world, there are loads of people working for you, Jesus. They do a good job, like the farmer. How many good Christians try to spread the seed of the gospel in the world? And many times they do a nice job of evangelization. So, if the seed of the gospel does not reach all the corners of the world, if it is not always because of the lack of discipline on our part, sometimes we wonder, how did this happen? Why is it that so many people haven't heard about you, Jesus, or that what they have heard is not true? How is it that you, Jesus, came to rescue all mankind, and 2,000 years later, we're still trying to reach out to millions who haven't heard the good news? And you give us the answer in today's parable. The servants were frustrated. After the good work they have done, they saw their work sabotaged. So they went to the owner of the field and asked him, "Lord, was it not good seed that you sowed into your field?" Like asking, was it your fault? Did you mess up with the seed? Because we did what you ordered, so where does the darnel come from? Whose fault is this? And the owner's reply, the enemy has done this. It wasn't that we didn't do our job properly. It was that the enemy also works well. We need to give him some credit. He is good at what he does, sabotaging the spread of the seed of the gospel. This is the mission of the enemy: to sow confusion, to prevent people from getting access to good seed. Now, he can't stop the good seed from being spread, but he can sow his own poisonous seed alongside it and try to bury the wheat in darnel. So, what do? The servants asked the owner of the farm. Shall we just remove darnel? And they were told, no, because you risk removing the wheat also. So let it grow together. And at the end, we will do the screening. We will make the selection. This is your reply, Jesus, to those who are confused at the lack of fruit from their efforts, to those who spend their lives sowing good seed but fail to reap the harvest. Why, Jesus? Some people seem to ask, why is there so much evil out there? Why don't you, Jesus, stop it? Why does the enemy have so much power? Why is everything so difficult for your disciples? Why is there so much darnel among the weeds that at times the world looks like a field of darnel with a bit of wheat in it? Your teaching, Jesus, is that you will do something about it, but not yet. At the moment, this is how the cookie crumbles. We are all working in the same field. The enemy is working in it, sowing his seed. And your disciples are sowing yours, Jesus. And this is how it should be. Because in due time, the darnel will be revealed for what it is, darnel. And the wheat will develop perfectly into the best flour, growing together with the leaven that you, Jesus, give us. So we share these fields. And since the enemy put his foot on it, it has become a battlefield. Our battle now is to carry on spreading the seed. And the more seed the enemy spreads, the more seed we need to spread. Against bad grain, good grain. We go always against the grain. As Saint Josemaria put it, we need to drown evil in an abundance of good. In a few days, we will commemorate the death of William Wilberforce. He is the name attached to the cause of the end of slavery in Great Britain. After more than 200 years of slave trade, some Christians started fighting to change the mentality, the perception that African slaves could be treated and traded like animals. It was a very long process, and after trying for years, they finally presented an abolition bill to the Parliament. This is 1790, and it was rejected. The world looked more like a field of darnel with a few ears of wheat in it. But they didn't give up. Regardless of the amount of darnel the enemy had scattered, they didn't stop sowing good seeds. They had to change public opinion. So the population learned about the treatment slaves were given. Calmly and peacefully, without raising their voice or being aggressive, without panicking or giving in to discouragement, holding on to their rights, they carried on scattering the seed of life, without worrying too much about what the enemy was sowing. For in the end, people won't fail to see the difference between darnel and wheat, between life and death, or between freedom and slavery, between truth and lies. Little by little, the law was more and more restrictive, and eventually, 44 years after the first proposed bill, 44 years of sowing good seed, the Slavery Abolition Act was enacted by the Parliament. Yes, the enemy has great means to spread his poisonous seed. Great means of communication. Maybe. But we have better seed. Your seed, Jesus, the true one. Today your disciples are called to spread the good seed, the good news in this field full of darnel. Against the advance of pornography, we have the seed of true love. Against the culture of death, we offer the seed of life. Against slavery, we preach freedom. And against hatred, we spread charity. Against division, we teach unity. Against fanaticism, we scatter dialogue. Against violence, we sow meekness. You who pray with me today, what seed is needed today where you are? Go and sow it. Let us be sowers of peace and joy, of charity and hope, of unity and forgiveness and meekness and understanding. Mary, Queen of the universe, help your children to spread the seed that they need to sow today where they are. Because we have all the seed that this world needs to be supernaturally sustainable and to yield the fruit that God is expecting. I give you thanks, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask you for help to put them into effect. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.